just go. Let's keep the thing down now.
Hey. So why not went away? I was kissing my conscience. I don't feel you, baby, baby, but you still the end, but for so wrong. Can't believe the woman was waiting. Yeah, I just here. Yeah, well, shoot at somebody. Shoot. It's breaking my heart. Is that how it's been? That's all she just yeah. Now, she claimed, said that you were moving on now. Maybe I have to do the same as you do the same. But it's about time. I wish that you could find it. I was in you, baby, and now it's not just a shame that I was wrong. I know. I think just can't believe you said it was way can you tell me is this how we say goodbye? Should have should have made me cry. And now it's breaking my heart to let you know. Cause I know that you're in my life. So keep it because it's time. You live fly. Yeah. Yo, yo, let me paint this picture for you, baby. Yo. You spend your nights alone and he never comes home. Every time you call him on, you get some wisdom tone. I heard you found out that he's doing to you what you did to me. And I don't know it goes when you cheat, girl. My heart beat, girl. So it goes without saying that you let me feel the hurt. Just to press the case, never go. Tell me so down, girl. You got what you deserve. Now you want somebody to kill me. She wants somebody to ain't right through the turn on somebody to wants to take it easy. Oh, so go back. I'm telling you,
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. How's everybody doing this afternoon? I hope you're doing well this afternoon. This is the day that the Most High have made, so let us be glad and rejoice in it this afternoon. I hope that everything is going well up the week. I hope your week has been a great week. I hope the Most High really truly blessed you over and abundantly with love, kindness, and peace. I hope He has blessed you with wisdom and knowledge and understanding of His word. I hope He really truly has blessed you over and abundantly with love, kindness, and understanding. Oh, the Most High really have truly blessed you over and abundantly with everything that your heart desire this week. I really truly hope He has. As for my week, it's been okay week. I can't complain this week. I just really truly can't. It's people in worse conditions than I am in, so I'm grateful to be in the situation I'm in. Um, it's a lot going on in the world, and I hope don't nobody bite the bullet. I hope you don't. How can I say this? Don't get tricked this time. You know, don't get tricked this time. But let us go ahead and go to Genesis chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Um, um, Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. And it reads like this: And Ananias spake all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah, thy Ananias, which I brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And thou shalt have no other Ananias before me, and thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, the Ananias, am a jealous Ananias, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah, thy Ananias, in vain. For Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy Ananias. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy sons, nor thy daughter, thy manservants, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore, if Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it, honor thy father and thy mother, that that day be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy Adonai giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbors, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So let us pray this afternoon. O creators of the heavens and earth, of our radiance and vibrations, and soften the grounds of our beings, and carve out a place, carve out a space with us where your presence can abide. Fill us with your creativity so that we may be empowered to bear fruits of our missions. And let each of our actions bear fruits in accordance with our desires within your purpose for our life. Bestow us with the wisdom of produce and share where each being needs to grow and flourish. Untie the tangled thread of destiny that binds us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes. Do not let us be seduced by that which distracts us from our true purpose, but illuminate the opportunities of present moments. For you are the ground and the fruitful vision, the creator and power and fulfillment, as all is gathered and made whole once again, so let it be. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I hope your day is going well. I hope the Most High really truly has blessed you over and abundantly with love, kindness, and peace. If you could turn to the book of Galatians, Galatians chapter 6, and it's going to be verses 1 through 10. But I'm really not going to deal with Galatians, but I am going to deal with Galatians. But I'm going to go to something else so that you can be able to understand the situations that we're in today, okay? Galatians chapter 6, verses 8. The key verse is verse 8. No, verse 7. Okay? It said, be not deceived, God is not mocked, Ananias is not mocked, for whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Understand that. And today's teaching may not be a long teaching, but it's a teaching that we need to understand. It says, be not deceived, Ananias is not mocked, for whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Okay, if I may give a title of the text today, the title of the text is What Goes Around Comes Around. What goes around comes around. And I think that's something that we truly got to understand. And the words that I have today for you too is reap. Reap is a 17th century word, right? R-E-A-P, it means to gather, to obtain, to receive as reward. Reaping means to receive as reward or as the fruits of labor or of work in a good or bad sense. It means to gather in by effort of any kind. Gather the fruits of labor and work. Okay? The word sow is a 14th century word. It means to scatter seeds upon the ground or plant it in the earth. It means to publicize. Okay. And I want you to keep this in the back of your minds as well. Go to Proverbs. Go to Psalms 35 and 7. No. Psalms 35 and 7. In 8, 35, 7 and 8, it says this. For without cause have they hid for me their net in a pit. Without cause they have dig for my soul. It says, let destruction come upon him at unawareness, and let his net that he had hid catch himself into that very destruction. For destruction let him fall. Let me read that over. It says, let destruction come upon him at unawares, and let his net that he has caught himself into that very destruction. Let him fall. I want you to also understand that, right? So now when we go back to the book of Galatians, right? Chapter 6, right? Paul is one of the greatest writers. Well, no, I'm not going to say the greatest writers, but best examples who anybody can learn from in the new covenant. Paul is one of the greatest examples of who you can learn from in the New Testament besides the Messiah. They didn't emphasize Peter so much, but Peter was the greatest teacher. But Paul was the second greatest example of who you can learn from in the New Testament. And the reason why I say that is because Paul, majority of his writings was from his personal experiences. Everything that Paul did, he had to reverse his psychology and revert back to something different than what he thought he knew or what he thought he was doing. So Let me see something real fast. Okay. Paul, let me get back to it, and then I'm gonna tell you why. Paul is a great example of how to live. How, okay, before Paul went on the road to Damascus, Paul was considered to be a zealous for Christ, right? That means that he was a he was he went into it for Christ. He was a man that loved, quote unquote, the law of Christ. And whatever Paul thought he had to do to show his love for Christ or the old covenant, Paul was willing to do it. Paul was willing to throw people in jail. Paul was willing to have dead people placed at his feet. Paul was willing to do whatever he thought he needed to do for the law. But everything that Paul was doing was against the law. Everything that Paul thought he was doing was against the law. That's why he was named Saul before the encounter of Christ. And that's why his name was changed to Paul after the encounter of Christ. Because a lot of times when you see people doing things in life, right, they think they're doing things from the right perspective or their viewpoint in life. And so that perspective or that viewpoint is before encounter of Christ. And if you look at like today's society, right, how European people in the government, United States government, is trying to take away the 13th Amendment or change the voting laws, which give African American people no voting power, even though you will have the privilege to vote, but your vote will not count unless you have a constituents in that category and that everybody placed their votes behind so that you could be able to go to that person and vote for them. Right? But say hypothetically, United States government, they're changing their voting rights. Where you don't black people or Hebrew people don't have no voting power. Intentionally, what they're thinking before Christ is that they're thinking that they are doing the right thing. But in actuality, they're not doing the right thing. They're doing things from their physical viewpoint of how they think, the way they think, how they feel about life and life situations. Now, this senator in Alabama named Ledbetter, he now starting to initiate taking away the 14th Amendment. And the 14th Amendment is guaranteeing citizenship, due process, and equal protection under the law, fundamentally shaping civil rights in the United States. Right? So now, the main two things that Hebrew people in America fought for was the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. Even though I think that Black Americans here in America are the true people here in America. We are the true citizens because, let me read you something. You go to the American Dictionary of 1828. The American Dictionary in 1828, right? It's 1828 dictionary. And then you look at the word American. An American is a noun, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper colored race found here by the Europeans, but now applies to the descendants of Europeans born in America. So that's the reason why I say I feel like I know that we here as as in Black Americans, we are the descendants of the Americans. We the Aboriginals. We're the Native Americans because my bloodline have Cherokee Indians in it, and Cherokee Indians have been in existence in this country on this continent for 5,000 years. Even if you go back to the Aztecs down in Mexico and down in South America, they have Asiatic or African features, right? But when they're talking about taking away the 14th Amendment, like I said, the 14th Amendment takes away guaranteeing citizenship, due process, and equal protection under the law, fundamentally shaping civil rights in the United States. It says historical context. The 14th Amendment was ratified on July the 9th, 1868, and one of the Reconstruction Amendments following the Civil War aimed at protecting rights of former enslaved people and ensuring equal civil and legal rights for all citizens. It was a direct response to the Dred Scott versus Sanford decision, which denied citizenship to African American people. The amendment was part of the Congress' effort to enforce civil rights and reintegrate Southern states into the Union. Okay, so what happened with the Dred Scott case? The Dred Scott case was a case where Dred Scott was saying that he was considered to be a human, but the United States of America did not look at Dred Scott as a human. They looked at him as property of not having human rights, not having the abilities to think. He was only as able as me. I own this book. This is my property, and this property don't have any legal or binding rights up under the Dred Scott case. But once the civil rights came about, this book has legal rights and protection up under the law. And I think you all need to go get this book. It's very good, very insightful, very good. I think you need to go check this book out on Amazon. Okay. But anyway, we was talking about it's talking about the Dred Scott case and how they saw that, hey, we need to try to get rid of equal protection up under the law for African American people. They just took your civil rights away. Now Ledbetter in Alabama is trying to go revisit the 14th Amendment so they can take your civil rights away, meaning that you won't have any protection under the law, meaning that they can be able to do whatever they want to do, how they want to do it, the way they want to do it, and when they want to do it, and there's nothing that you actually can do about it. And one of the prime examples that happened this week, it was a young man in Florida who's around 20 or 25 years old. I don't know how old he was. He committed a murder. He killed somebody, right? And the judge and the district and the prosecuting attorney, they said, we need him for sweat labor. We need him because he's young. Our prison population is getting older. And we need him to be able to go work out in the fields so that he can be able to produce what we need for him to produce. So they just now turned this young man into slave labor for the rest of his life because they see that the prison population is getting older and they are trying to use and take black people back to slavery. That's why I keep telling you, don't take this damn vaccine that they're trying to bring out. And I'm telling you this. Your government is not for you. So now they took the 14th. Now they're taking the civil rights, voting rights. They're taking your civil right, the voting rights away. Now that you can vote, but you don't have no power. Now they're trying to take the 14th Amendment away, where you won't have no equal protection up under the law. But I want us to understand this: what the American 1828 dictionary said about who's the true Americans. Understand that. Okay, so now let me get back to Paul. Paul was a great example of how you can view life before encounter of Christ and after the encounter of Christ, right? Paul's life was an example of how you view your life after Christ, because Paul realized that he made a lot of mistakes prior to really truly encountering Christ. A lot of us say that, yes, I know God, but have we really truly had that encounter with Ananias? Have we really had that true encounter with him on the road of Damascus, on the road of destruction, on the road of deleting someone? Have we really truly had that encounter with Christ? And a lot of us have not had that encounter with Christ. Because if we really truly have had that encounter with Christ, we will be able to write books like Paul. Because he's more of an empathetic type person, because of the fact that how he treated his own people prior to the encounter. Even though Paul, he made a lot of mistakes, he did it ignorantly. Okay, let me say this to you. Okay, I do this. In 1 Timothy, right, chapter 1, verse 13, it says, Paul said this right here. He said, I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief. And see, a lot of times when we live our life before Christ, before the encounter on the road to Damascus, before in the encounter of, we don't really truly believe the word of Yahuwah. A lot of people say, yes, I'm this, and a lot of people say, yes, I'm that. Yes, a lot of people say, I'm all these things, but your behavior does not resemble actually what you say you truly believe in. And because your life don't represent what you truly say you believe in, everything that you do is is bringing judgment on you, because you're doing everything in unbelief and in ignorance. And a lot of people not really truly realizing why they're going through so much suffering in life is because they actually is bringing it on to themselves because of their own spiritual beliefs. Their own spiritual beliefs. Because do you think these people who's trying to get rid of the 13th and the 14th Amendment really truly believe in the true word of Ananias? No. Do you really truly think they honestly believe in everybody has equal rights? No. Do you really truly believe that these people are actually operating out of love? No, they're not. Okay, and I'm gonna say this. Let me read this. Let me show you this. What is the difference between love and law? Right? In Christian teachings, love and law are not opposite but are deeply connected. The Bible presents them as inseparable. Love is the fulfilling of the law, and the law is the expression of God's love, right? Okay. It says this. The law is in context usually refers to the moral law of God, especially the Ten Commandments. It is God's will how humans should live, reflecting his character and purpose. The law is not merely about punishment, but about guiding people to live in harmony. Okay? The law is a framework for how you live your life. Okay? But love is something totally different. Even though, like, for example, even though the law said do not go faster than 60 or 70 miles an hour on the highway, am I going to abide by the law because what the law say, or because I love God not to abide by the law, not to go past the law, not to obey the law? Everything that we do, because law means that they got to force you to do things that you know you should do. But love is a voluntary thing. You don't have to tell me to do these things because I'm going to do it because of the love that I have for humanity, the love that I have for Christ, the love that I have for whatever. It's a difference between, oh, I'm doing it just because, or I'm doing it because of the love that I have for you. And see, that's what that's why they was never able to fulfill the old covenant, is because they never had the love for Christ. They never had the genuine love for Christ because they actually did not know who Christ was. Even though they saw miracles, they saw these things going on, but they never had that love. They only had the law. So now when you're looking at love basically comes from volunteer, the sincerity of the heart. What you do just because who that person is, right? It says law is a set of divine commands and standards for righteous living. Doesn't mean that you are genuinely doing it because you love anything. You're just doing it because it's the way you should do it. Because I heard this guy say, I give because I know I'm gonna get it back. He don't care about the person. He care about what he doing because he know that the universal law is guarantee him certain things back. Just because he did this, he know from the universal creator of the universe, it's guaranteed that he get it back. It may not be in the same amount, but he will get what he given out. That's just universal law. That's the way the Most High made it, right? But it says love is heartfelt, self-giving attitude that naturally fulfill those commandments. The law can be broken without love, but love cannot be truly lived without obedience to the moral law, to law or morals code. In order for you to treat humanity right, you truly got to love people in order for you to treat them right. You don't have to give a person leniency in the court of law because you can give a person leniency in the court of law because that's what the law states. And you don't have to have no love in your heart for people or for humanity. But It takes more of a person with love to be able to give person leniency, because the fact that if you understand the whole scenario. So when after Paul came into the encounter of Christ, that's when he had to understand that I'm persecuting my own people. Now I got to revisit every thought, every behavior, everything about me as a person. And see, when we have that encounter with Christ, we recognize that, hey, I have done a lot of things that I shouldn't have done. And I know that I need to change my behaviors. I know I need to change my way of thinking. I know what I used to do, I can't do no more because I did it out of ignorance. I did it out of ignorance. But Paul still had to go through things in life because of what he did. He made other people suffer. So Paul still had to suffer even after the encounter with Christ, because this is what it says in Acts chapter 9, verse 15 and 16. It says, but the Lord said to him, go thy way. For Paul, for for he is chosen vessel unto me to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. For I will show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake. So if Paul was so willing to make other people suffer for the Christ's name's sake, Paul had to suffer because he made other people suffer. That's why the title of the text is, and what goes around comes around. The way you treat people is the way you're going to be treated. That's why I said to you about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Most High is not playing with people nowadays. The Most High is not playing with people right now. He have given people warnings and warnings and warnings about life situations, about what you're doing and how you're doing it. I told you this. He's not playing with nobody right now. And the more people think that they have time to do this, and the more you think you got time to do that, the more you don't. Because just say 3 weeks ago, I had said this. The following week, they start coming out with the hantavirus. Then the following week, something else came out where something else was coming out to mess with society as a whole. What is getting ready to happen here on this earth is horrific judgment for the wicked. And you don't have to believe me. Just go back and listen to my teachings. Go back 2 or 3 weeks ago and watch the patterns of my teachings and watch how each teaching is following another teachings. Because I teach because the experience that the Most High give me through my prayer and all of these things. And see what these people are thinking they're doing is not what's going to actually happen in our society. They're actually bringing judgment on themselves. Everything that we do in our life, and I want you to hear me on this, because Most High is a spirit. He's a universal spirit. The Ananias lives in everything that he has created. I want you to understand that. Whatever you put out in the universe, in the atmosphere, the Most High hears it, and what he does, he brings it right back onto you. Go to Matthew chapter 7, and I'm finna get ready to get started. Judgment, it just means, judge means to render a sentence. That's what judge means. It means to render a sentence. Okay, talk about people. Whatever you do towards somebody else. Okay. It says, Matthew chapter 7, verse 1 through 3. It says, judge not that ye not be judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considers not the beam that is in thy own eye? See, we're so quick to pass judgment on somebody else and try to hinder and hurt someone else, not realizing what we actually and truly got going on within our own selves as an individual. See, we can be so quick to say this, that, and the other, and try to do this, that, and the other to somebody else, but not realizing that we got so much other stuff going on within us. But not realizing that it says, for with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. Everything that you're trying to do to somebody else, it will be passed on to you. And that's something that we have to realize. And that's universal. That's the most high's words coming back onto the people. And I remember this pastor named Dewey Smith said, I ain't going to hell for nobody. As bad as sometimes I may want to do wrong, I said I ain't going to hell for nobody. Because my soul and my spirit is more worthy to me than for me to allow somebody else to take me to a place I don't want to go. I don't want to live in condemnation. Because you have to understand this. If you're lying on somebody gonna be lying on you. If you're cheating on somebody gonna be cheating on you. If you are doing something negative to somebody, something negative gonna be happening to you. And that's something that we truly got to understand. And that's why this teaching is today is about a warning. It's about a warning to us as Hebrew people. It's a warning to us as an individual. That song that I just wrote, what goes around comes around, no, it's reality. It's reality. It's real. It's a universal spirit. That's why Paul writing is so profound. If you listen to his writings, he's really talking about majority of his experiences that he lived. Because the word, let's look at Galatians. Let me see this. The word mocked. What the word mock means. The word mock means ridicule. Means God is not stupid. The Most High is not stupid. Quit thinking that he's stupid. He sees everything that you're doing. You're bringing there, and if the Most High is not stupid, he sees you doing what you do. So you actually, when he see what you're doing, he said, okay, you're reaping what you're sowing. You're bringing condemnation on your own self. So don't get mad with me when things happen, because that young man who just deleted somebody at an early age, now his whole life is gone. It's gonna be in a plantation, work for people. But let me get started. I ain't got that much time. I want us to understand something though. What goes around comes around. Whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. It says, brethren, in verse 1. It says, brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault or a sin, ye which are spiritual, restore such as in one in the spirit of kindness. Consider thyself, lest thou also be tempted. He said, look at yourself. Make sure that you understand where you was and where you've been. Because he said, I understand it because that's where I've been. I was there persecuting people. I was there hurting people. I was there throwing people in jail. I was there when somebody laid a dead body at my feet. Paul said, I was there. I understand. But now what am I doing? I'm trying to restore people from faults because of the simple fact that I understand where I was. It says, bear ye one another burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Fulfill the law of Christ through love, not by the letter, but by love. It says, but for if a man thinketh himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceive himself. Understand that. See, that's what Paul was doing. He was saying, I am this and I was that and I was. Paul was trying to make himself feel like he was better than everybody. That's why he behaved in the manner and such. He said, but let every man prove his own works. And then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another. Listen to that. But let every man prove his own works, and then shall have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another. Not meaning that you're laughing at other people saying that you're better than them because of where they are and where you are. For every man shall bear his own burdens. For every man shall bear his own burden. That's why I'm telling you what I'm saying to you. And let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. Be not deceived, and is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. Flesh is the law. Flesh is the law. I'm doing it because of the law. But that he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap everlasting life. The Spirit is love. Let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. As we have therefore opportunities, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the house of faith or house of Israel. Okay? So that's what Paul was saying, right? This is how we should be with people because we're understanding that action is going to come back onto us if we do certain things to other people, right? But my main topic on what I'm teaching from today is Revelations, chapter 13, verse 10. Go to verse 9 and verse 10. Because we got to understand the 13th and 14th Amendment. And we're talking, that's what's hitting us for the next couple of years. That's what's hitting us right now in our face. It says, verse 9 and 10, it says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. And see, sometimes when people think they're doing something, they're actually not doing anything but setting a trap for himself, because that's what Psalms 35 said. Psalm 35 and 8 said this: let destruction come upon him at unaware, and let his net that he had hid catch himself. Into that very destruction, let him fall. See, that's what they was talking about. Even though they're trying to do something to me, let them fall into it. But Revelation 12, Revelation 13 say, what's up, Greg? How you doing, my brother? But Revelation 13 say, and 10 say, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. So I want to talk about traps. Traps are snares. Snares are something that actually try to get people to start doing things that they know they shouldn't do, right? So what we have seen throughout history with these injections that they've been doing, they've been traps for us. They've been snares for us. And I want us to understand that, but what's going on with this new pandemic or whatever they got, whatever the case may be, it's considered to be a trap because they want us to take another mRNA. And the more we take the mRNA, the more it changes us from humans to transhumans, because it alters the DNA of the human body. And see, you cannot patent something that is natural. You can only patent something that has been how can I say it? That has been altered. Okay. And the more you put the mRNA into your body, the more you become altered and the more you can become patent. And that's how they have the ability to be able to control you, because the simple fact is you are allowing the mRNA to go into your bodies to be to change your DNA so that you can be more patent and they can control you and own you. So now the trap is what's actually taking place right now. That's the trap. But let us go to Psalms 9 and 15. Because we got to understand who is writing. Okay, who's writing this letter? Who's writing? Who's that writing? David. It says, the heathens are sunk down in the pit that they made, in the nets which they hid, in their own foot taken. In the net which they hid is their own foot taken. Yahuwah is known by the judgment which he executes. The wicked is snared in the works of his hands. That's what it says. Yahuwah is known by the judgment which he executes. The wicked is snared in the works of his own hands. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forgot Ananiah. See, what it's saying is this right here. Every trap that somebody's trying to set for you, that trap is going to affect them more than it affected us. Because yes, the crack epidemic affected us, but the opioid affected them even more. Our household, our single parent household, is just as much as our counterparts. Abortions is just as much as our counterparts. Everything that they do to try to affect us, universal law, the Most High, will not allow us to suffer more than the person who intentionally did it. Understand that. Everything that they try to do to us is going to hurt them 10 times fold. Right? Let us go to Psalms 140. 140 and 5. It says, the proud have hid a snare for me, and cords. They have spread a net by the wayside. They have set gins for me. I say unto Yahuwah, thou art my Anani. Hear the voice of my supplications. O Anani, Yahuwah, the strength of my salvation, my protection. Thou hast covered my head in the days of battle. Grant not, Yahuwah, the desires of the wicked. Further not his wicked devices, lest they exalt themselves. See, everybody who think they're setting a trap for you or doing something negatively to you, it is actually bringing shame on them. I'm being honest with you. That's the way the Most High works. He actually, you can only pray and protect yourself as much as you can. But you cannot try to fight the battle that Yahuwah is fighting, because the simple fact is, what Yahuwah can do to other people, you can't do. The things that Yahuwah can do to people because of their wickedness, you can't do. Understand that. Go to Psalms 119 and 85. And this is a warning, because I want us to understand. We have to understand what days and times we're in. We got to understand that. We got to understand what days and times we're in. We got to understand that we're in the book, we're in the revelation, with the revealings, we in the end times. And judgment is coming around much faster than you actually think. And if you don't want no judgment upon you, don't do nothing that is wicked. Because this says this in Psalms 119 and 85, because we're talking about the wicked that's trying to set out traps now with the mRNA right now. It says, the proud have dug pitch for me, which are not after thy law. All thy commandments are faithful. They persecute me wrongly. Help thou me. They had almost consumed me upon the earth, but I forsook not thy precept. Quicken me after thy loving kindness, so shall I keep the testimonies of thy mouth. Listen to that. Even though they're trying to do something against me, I'm still going to do the will of the Most High. And the more I do the will of the Most High will protect me in the midst of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say this to you. I want you to look at your life, right? And I want you to see, and I want you, don't tell nobody, I want you just to re-examine yourself. I want you to re-examine yourself. Where you are in life. How your life is going. And then look at your actions in your life. Are they bringing on good behaviors or bad behaviors? What are you doing that brings on the results in your life? Are you prospering or you're not prospering? Are you spiritually growing or are you not spiritually growing? Because whatever you're doing, you're bringing it onto yourself. Because the energy that you takes out, because it says in Psalms, John 6 and 63, spirits of life, life of spirits. So whatever you speak, you bring it right back to you. Understand that. Okay? But I want to give you something else also too. And this what got me this morning, right? This what got me this morning, right? The Most High also can use the children of Israel as a trap for other people to see how much other people love the Most High. See if they're gonna do right regardless of what the children of Israel is doing. This is what he said. He says, sanctify Yahuwah of hosts himself. This is verse 13. It says, sanctify Yahuwah of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. Listen to that. Listen to that. Let me say this. This verse right here is very important. Psalms 146 and 3. It says, put not your trust in prince, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. Right? Understand that. Then let's go back to Isaiah chapter 13. It says, sanctify Yahuwah of hosts himself. Praise only Yahuwah. Don't praise nobody else. Don't do nothing for nobody else. Don't give no other people no other light, no other humans, no other light. Not Jordan, not LeBron, like Mike, not Prince, not Van Halen, nor anybody else. Don't put nobody else on a pedestal but the Most High, right? Don't put nobody else on the pedestal but the Most High. Understand that. The heathen should not, if you're going to say you're going to follow somebody, you just follow Yahuwah. Don't follow man because you can't, there's no help for you, right? Listen to verse 14. It says, and he shall be a sanctuary.
Where are you?
I go back to Isaiah chapter 8, verse 14. I did do 13. It says, sanctify Yahuwah of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. Okay? For he shall be a sanctuary. Why? Because you can't trust man. You can't trust the prince. You can't trust the governors. You can't trust anybody, right? But for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both the house of Israel, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Okay. Everything that you see African American people, everybody else is trying to do, right? Every culture, everything. I said I'm gonna get a T-shirt. Say, let me have my culture, my history, my food, and my life back. Leave me alone, right? That's what I said. I'm gonna get me a shirt and I'm gonna make it, right? But if you notice, every nation on the earth is trying to dress like us, act like us, be like us, look like us, be everything about us, right? But Yahuwah has used us to trap them the same way they've been trapping us. He have put us in bad situations to be heathens. So now every nation who's following us have become just like us, heathens, because they actually wasn't following Yahuwah, if that makes any sense. Because, okay, Psalms 83, it says this, right? Okay, Psalms 83. Because they intentionally, right? Because they intentionally, in Psalms 83, it says this, Psalms 83 8 and 3, it says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, and that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent, and they are confederate against thee. So everything that they have done, right? They have made us become wicked. They have made us become sick. They have made us become everything that Yahuwah didn't want us to be, right? We wearing weave, we wearing fake fingernails, we have eyelashes, we're destroying our homes, we're doing everything negative, right? So now we have been a trap for them because they're following us in a negative way. They actually haven't been following Yahuwah. So the things that they had did to us indirectly have become on their own people because they've been following us even though they did it to us. If that's making any sense. So now we have been a snare to them because they actually have been following Yahuwah. They've been following us. And we've been in wickedness. So now what happened? They in wickedness. But we, because they intentionally try, it's just like they intentionally tried to destroy us with crack cocaine. But the opioids has affected them. They intentionally tried to destroy our life. Now their lives are being destroyed. Everything they tried to do to us, it has come back up on them. Everything. I ain't got time. Let's go to the second one. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 13. Just like they used us for a trap, set a trap for us, that trap been set for them as well. That trap, what they used for us, has been turned on them. Now, let's deal with verse 10. Captivity. We're talking about captivity now. They try to set traps. Now they're trying to put us back into slavery by getting rid of the 14th Amendment. Let's go to Exodus chapter 21. Exodus chapter 21, verse 23 through 25. I'm going to verse 22 first. If man strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follows, he shall be surely punished. And according to the woman husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judge determines. And if any mischief follows, then thou shalt give life for life. Listen to that. This in the old covenant. And any mischief follows, then thou shalt give life for life. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. That's what that captivity for captivity means. Everything that you have done to somebody else, it's got to be done to you. That is up under the old covenant. Whatever you do to somebody else, it has to be done to you. That is the Most High's laws. Let us go to Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1 and 2. It says, For Yahuwah will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own lands, and the strangers shall be joined with them as they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them, and Jacob shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess the strangers in the land of Yahuwah for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captive, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. See, everything that has been done to us is going to be done to them. Even though they think they're getting away with the 13th and 14th Amendment, they're just actually setting it up for them to fall, because we have to realize that the Irish people came over here in our homeland on boats and ships in the early late 1800s. So they came here over here in our land. So the 13th and the 14th Amendment does not really protect them from under the law, because they're not natural born citizens here in America. If you hear people say, oh, I'm Irish blood, that means that they migrated to our homeland. So that means that if they get rid of the 13th, 14th Amendment, that means that they're not legally up under the protection of the law, because they families migrated here under the law. They migrated here. So they don't have this protection under the 14th Amendment, because they were not they're not Aboriginal people here in America. So that's how the Most High is going to twist it, because African American, the government knows that African American people are the natural born citizens. We are here. We are Turtle Island. Okay? But they know that all immigrants are, only reason why they are able to do the things that they're able to do is because of the 13th and 14th Amendment. So now if they get rid of the 13th and 14th Amendment, no immigrants that came over here on boats are allowed to stay and won't have the protection, because they're not citizens. The only natural people here that has the really true rights of the Americas is the Native Americans, the original applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored race found here by the Europeans. We are the original people, so don't nobody have no constitutional rights in the United States except for us. That's why the trap is being set on them subconsciously, and they don't even know it. So now when it says this in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 2, the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess the heathens in the land of Yahuwah for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captive, who captives they were. We was captives to the Europeans. Listen to that. Whom captives they were. And they shall rule over their oppressors. Who is our oppressors right now? Right, Europeans. So we're going to be oppressing our oppressors. That's why I say what goes around comes around. This is what scripture say. This is not what I say. This is what scripture is saying. They shall take them whom captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Let us go to Matthew chapter 7. Verse 1. Verse 2. I already read that one. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 33. Verse 1. Listen to this, because the way people look at the Most High is not actually who the Most High really truly is. Stay at Isaiah chapter 33, verse 1, but listen to this again. Exodus chapter 20, verse 5. It says, thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them, for Yahuwah thy Adonai am a angry God visiting the sins of the fathers upon the children until the third and fourth generation of them that hate him. When you think God is nice, God is not God nice. God is very angry. He's a very destructive God. He's not somebody to be taken lightly. That's why the word jealous means angry. Angry God visiting the sins of the fathers upon. Listen to this. The sins of the fathers upon the children until the third and fourth generation of them that hate him. See, when God bringing judgment on people, he bringing judgment on people because of what their fathers did and because of what they have done. So when you see that's why he said, Edom I hate forever. He hate Esau forever. That ain't going to stop. So when we think God is one way, God ain't the way that we've been given this picture of. He's an angry God. Isaiah chapter 33, verse 1. That's why the first thing in success, to be successful in the spiritual walk or the way, you have to fear Christ. You have to fear God. You have to fear him because you know what he's capable of doing. You got to fear him that you know that he can cause sickness in your body overnight. He can cause you to have a car accident. He can cause you to be broke, busted, and disgusted. He can cause certain things to happen to you at the drop of a dime. That's why you got to fear. But he also can bless you at the drop of a dime. He can cause your health to be restored. He can cause so many other things to happen in your life. That's why you got to fear him. Isaiah chapter 33, verse 1, it says, woe to the spoilers, and thou was not spoiled, and dealt treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. Listen to this. Listen to this. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. It's just like now, Trump is asking Iran, let's get a cease deal. Let's get a cease deal. Let's get a cease deal. We can't fight no more. 90% of Israel weapons have been destroyed. Let's get a cease deal. And Iran said, nah. It's my turn now. And see, that's something we got to think about. We got to think about these things. We got to think about how we treat people. We got to think about what we do to people. Because the moment you say, I'm good, I ain't going to do it no more, is the moment that it's going to come upon you, what you've been doing to other people. The moment that you say, I ain't doing it no more, the moment it's going to happen to you. Let's go to Leviticus 25 and 44. Okay. It says, both thy bondmen and thy bondmaid woman, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. And of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondwomen. See, the same abilities that they did to us, it's the same abilities we're going to have to do to them. Everything that they've been doing to us, we're going to have the abilities to do to them. Because you got to understand that population is decreasing. The population is decreasing. and 70%, I say 50% of the European population is over the age of 60 years old. So their population has dwindled. So everything is shifting. That's why they're doing all these things, because the simple fact is they understand that they're in a dire need for certain situation. They're in dire need in certain situations. We're gonna take them in captivity just like they took us into captivity. The trap that they set for us, it also has been a trap for them. But also, go back to Revelation, verse 13, chapter 13. Chapter 13, verse 10. It says, "He that leaveth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword." All the things that they've been doing to us, it has to happen to them. It's never said how, but it will happen. Let us go to Genesis chapter 9. Verses 5 and 6. We're going to talk about the traps they tried to do to us. It's eventually going to come back on them. Captivity. The captivities that they did to us is actually going to go back on them. Now, we're talking about the killings, the deletings, right? It says, "And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it." Listen to that. Listen to that again. It says, "And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it. And at the hand of man, and at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whosoever sheddeth man blood," listen to this. Listen, 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 listen. "Whosoever sheddeth man blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man." Listen to that. "Whosoever sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed." That's why Iran said they ain't stopping. Because you shed my people's life, and I gotta shed your people's life. Go to Isaiah chapter 26. It says, for behold, Yahuwah cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquities, for their sins. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her sins. Everything that the earth has done, and the people and the inhabitants of the people have done, it shall be done to them.
What scripture? What verse was that?
Isaiah chapter 26, verse 21. "For behold, Yahuwah cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquities, of their sins. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain." And the Most High is going to bring judgment on people. And that's something that Christian churches never talk about. Let's go to Numbers chapter 35. I read this a couple of times. Number 35 and 33. "So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are. For blood it defiles the land, and the blood cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it." Everybody who shedded blood, their blood must be shed. See, some people don't know the Most High. Because they think they know the Most High, they moving ignorantly. Because they think they know something they really don't know. Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 20. This is talking about the nation of Israel, right? This is talking about the nation of Israel. This is talking about the nation of Israel, right? It said, Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy the kingdoms. And with thee will I break in pieces the horses and his riders, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariots and his riders. And with thee also will I break in pieces man and woman. And with thee will I break in pieces young and old. And with thee will I break in pieces old, young, and the old, young, the young men and the women. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherds and his flocks, and with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. And I will render unto Babylon, unto the inhabitants of Chaldean, all their evils that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith Yahuwah. The Most High said, everything that Babylon has done to you, I'm going to bring up a certain group of people so that they can do it to Babylon. So that concludes the teaching for today, right? We got to understand what goes around comes around. What actually, what you think you actually see is not what you actually see. What you're seeing is not your reality. You're seeing what the trap that Yahuwah has set for the heathens. Because he put us in wickedness and everybody's following us, it put them in wickedness. Now he's bringing us out of wickedness. Now watch and see what happens. It's going to start bringing other people out of wickedness. Because he set us above all other nations. We are the people of the earth. But because they set traps for us, they also fit into those traps. Because they put us in captivity, they also got to go into captivity. Because they've been deleting us, the Most High is going to use people to delete them. Because what goes around comes around. You reap what you sow. Most High is not stupid. He's not mocked. Understand that. So these people think they're doing something, but in actuality, they're not doing anything. But putting themselves in traps that they're not going to be able to get out of. No matter what they try to do. And that's on a nation scale, a national scale, and an individual. Listen to me individually. Don't think that you're doing something that the Most High don't see. Whatever you think you're doing, if you're lying, you're cheating, you're being conniving, you're speaking manipulative, you're witchcrafting, whatever you're doing, understand this. It's going to come right back on you. And it's going to come back double. So whatever you decide to do, whatever you're trying to do, I'm asking you not to do it. Follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Study Yahuwah's words so that you can be saved or protected during this time of troubles. Okay? So that's my prayer for you. That's my prayer for you. Okay, so that concludes the teaching for today. I want you all to have a blessed one. I want the Most High truly bless you over and abundantly. Listen to this song again.
Hey, see everything. No, you know you have me on your head. So why you love when you wait? I just can't see my understand. I was being you, baby, baby, I still begin, but this I was wrong. Can't believe the feeling was waiting. This is how we say goodbye. Should have they should it's breaking my heart. Because I'm sure yeah. Now, it's a claim. Say that you are moving on now. Baby, I have to do the same as you do the same. Look about that. I was the thing. Give you my name. I was you, baby, and now it's all just a shame. But because I was wrong. I don't. Just go outside and can't believe it's there. It's where I see. Look about it. Can you accept me as this man? This is the way you should be. Is this say goodbye? Should have should have made me cry. Now it's breaking my heart to let you know. Cause I know that you're living a lie. It's okay, baby, because it's time. You'll be fine. Oh, baby, yeah. Yup, yup. Let me paint this picture for you, baby. Yup. You spend your nights alone, and he never comes home. Every time you call him, all you get's a busy tone. I heard you found out that he's doing to you what you did to me, and I don't get it goes. When you cheat, girl, hot baby girl. So it goes without saying that you're never feeling hurt. Just a classic case scenario. Tell us all this time, dirty got what you deserve. somebody secure the nice. She wants somebody and try to survive somebody to get through the city. Oh, I don't know.
I hope y'all listening to that song. Just pay attention to what's going on in the world. You know, pay attention to what's going on in the world. Don't fall into the trap. Okay. Understand that we got to obey the law, statutes, commandments. Okay. Y'all have a blessing. Shalom, shalom, shalom.